Greetings, people of the universe, from myself, my dog Chanel, and my other dog, Beauty. Now, most of you are probably wondering, Bia, why does your frickin' videos keep changing from place to place? Last week you were in a different room, and now you're in a different room, and then the week before that you were in a different room. Well, to explain, the lighting in my house is pretty terrible, and I don't have a good lighting lamp besides these yellowish, my phone just went off, yellowish lamps that I have throughout my house. Now let's get started with the important thing in this video. Obviously, as you can tell by the title, I will be talking about my new piercing. Over the long weekend for Rosh Hashanah, we didn't have school, so I decided that I wanted to get my snake eyes pierced, which I did. In this video, we're going to be talking about technically two experiences. I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on the shop that I got it done in, my pain tolerance / pain scale for the piercing, and what my difficulties with it have been so far. So first I'm going to talk about my experience. The shop that I got it done in was a place in my local mall. It was a little shop that had just opened probably about 6 months ago, maybe less than that. The shop is pretty decent. I mean, I've had a few friends go there and get plenty of piercings, and they had no problem with the shop, no problem with any kind of it being crooked or it being it getting infected because of not proper use of the equipment or something. So my story was, I went in on Saturday evening. I had just gotten off work, and because I'm underage, I planned with my mom to meet up, and then we would go to the shop, and I would get my piercing. So I went to the piercing place with my mom, and one of my friends had come with me for moral support. And so I went in, and the girl, she was really nice. I had gone in a little bit beforehand to ask her, what the procedure was, if they used proper equipment, like proper needles instead of using a gun, how they sanitize everything. So I went into the shop with my mom, and the girl was really nice. She was the only one running the store that day, and she wasn't like the manager, the owner, or anything. She was kind of just a piercer who worked there. So I went and I said, I want to get my snake eyes pierced. And she said, okay. So she brought me into the room, me and my friend into the room. She sat me down on the bench, and she told me to rinse out my mouth with the H2 Ocean like disinfectant mouthwash stuff. Usually they use it for like cleaning oral piercings to help them heal. But in this case, she asked me to gargle just to disinfect the whole area. Usually what happens is when a piercer is, marking you for where you want a piercing, they'll mark you, and then they'll say, go look in the mirror, make sure it's where you want it. Or they'll give you a mirror, and then you look. So this piercer, she kind of just said, I'll mark you, and then I'll have you lay down, and then we'll do the piercing. So she marked me, and usually, like I said, they'll mark you, and then they'll tell you to go look. But she marked me, and she didn't really say go look. She marked me, and she said, it looks perfect. And so me thinking that, it's fine. She's a professional. She's gone to school for this and everything. She's got her certification. I just let it go. And so she had me lay down in the chair, and she put the clamp on. She puts the bar through, and everything's fine. My phone just went off. I go to look in the mirror. And for a brief moment that I'm looking at it, I'm kind of just excited about it. I look in the mirror, and it looks pretty good. And so, she doesn't, and then afterwards, normally what a piercer will do is they'll go over the procedure on how to take care of it, what not to do, what I can do. Normally with oral piercings, you can't drink alcohol, you can't smoke, obviously no kissing, no oral sex, stuff like that. But she didn't really go over any of that procedure. She kind of said, just wash it out with salt water, have fun. And so me thinking afterwards, I was like, she probably should have gone over those, but me already having a few piercings and wanting to be a piercer myself, I've researched this stuff and I already know how to take care of my oral piercing myself. I can't talk because of this thing. About an hour later, me and my friend are sitting in the cafeteria. I get a text message and I look at my phone and I was gonna respond to the text message with a picture. I was gonna send a picture of my new piercing. So I'm looking at my camera and I stick my tongue out and I noticed that it was kind of off. I didn't know if it was just my camera or not. So I go to the bathroom and I look in the mirror and I stick my tongue out and I kind of I tighten it, you know, like I make the muscle in my tongue kind of like stiff like this. And I noticed that it was kind of crooked. And, you know, the more and more I looked at it, the more and more I realized that it was actually really crooked. It was like off. And if you've ever looked at if you've ever looked at pictures or videos of people getting their snake eyes pierced, it's generally pretty straight. It's like straight across the tongue, right in the middle. It's like there's a line down the middle of the tongue and it's like right in the middle. It's like it's clearly straight across. And so I'm wondering, you know, is it just swollen or is it just the way I'm looking at it? And so I go into a few stores with my friend and I go up to, you know, some of the people that come up to me and say, you know, how are you? Do you need any help? I said, and I'm saying no, but can you give me just some advice and tell me if this looks crooked? And so I stick out my tongue and every time they all told me that it looked really crooked. I'm gonna show you guys a picture. So mind you, this isn't really a flattering picture, it's really just of my tongue. So this is the picture of my tongue the first time I got it done. And you can pretty much clearly see that it was pretty crooked. You know, it's basically like diagonally pierced. And so me and my friend are kind of going back and forth saying, you know, yeah, this really doesn't look good. And so we decided to go into the shop and tell the girl, you know, you pierced this crooked. And not in a mean way. We went and we said, you know, we looked and we asked a few people and it's, you know, it's pretty crooked. It looks pretty crooked. And she says to me, you know, maybe it's just swollen. Maybe it's just this, maybe it's just that. And, you know, me knowing my own body and me knowing generally how my mouth looks and how my tongue looks, I'm thinking to myself, my tongue isn't even swollen. If my tongue was swollen, I would know it, and it wasn't swollen. I kind of just brushed it off and I said, you know what? This is completely crooked. When I get home, I'm gonna take it out. The next day, I called the shop and, you know, I asked for the manager or the owner of the shop. And this woman who picked up the phone, she said, you know, I'm the manager. And I said, you know, hi, I went into your store yesterday and I got a piercing. And I took it out and it was completely crooked. I took a bunch of pictures of it and I asked a bunch of people and I looked at videos and pictures. It was just completely crooked. It wasn't right, so I took it out. She said, okay, well, you know, come in, just let it heal over for the next day or two. Come back in and I'll re-pierce it for you for free. So I said, thank you so much. And that was really it. I hung up the phone and I planned to go in like the next day. So the next day around like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, I go back into the shop and, you know, I walk in and I'm waiting. The store's empty. There's really no one there. I'm sitting at the counter and, you know, there's a cup of coffee there and there's music playing, so I'm thinking maybe they're in the back and they're gonna come out for a minute. 10 minutes later, I'm waiting in the store and there was no one. So after a while, I realized I'm not just gonna wait here. I'm gonna go do something productive and then come back. But then I was thinking, I had been in here recently and they really don't lock up their stuff. They really don't have like locks in the cabinets or anything. So I'm thinking someone's probably gonna come here, figure out that there's no one here and that the cabinets are completely unlocked and steal probably a bunch of stuff. So I go over to the security guard and I say, you know, there's no one in the store. Not that I'm complaining, but, you know, someone could really go in and just take anything that they wanted. So I go do something productive, I come back, and then the manager's in the store. So I tell her, you know, I was on the phone with you, you told me that you would re-pierce my tongue. I showed her the pictures, and she agreed with me that it was completely crooked and that she was going to take the pictures and send them to her piercer that did my tongue originally. So the second time around, this girl, she sits me on the chair, doesn't lay me on the chair, she sits me on the chair, she marks me. She tells me to look in the mirror like every good piercer should to make sure that it was where I wanted. And afterwards, she asks me, you know, like, how was this experience different than the one you had with the other girl? I said, you know, she didn't have me, she had me lay down, she didn't have me sitting. This time I drooled. I didn't drool the last time at all. She didn't ask me if the spot was okay. And basically, she didn't tell me any of the aftercare stuff. So my overall experience with this shop and getting my tongue pierced was pretty annoying, especially since I had to get it re-pierced twice, which was pretty painful. Overall, I would go back, but I wouldn't get anything re-pierced or pierced in general by the girl who did my piercing first. I would go to the girl who pierced it the second time. So now let's go over my pain scale and my pain tolerance, I guess. I have a pretty high pain tolerance when it comes to piercings. This one I did myself, my septum, and it barely hurt. It was probably like a 2 out of 10. My lip I got done, professionally done, in a different shop, and it was pretty much easy peasy. It was like it was probably like a 3 or 4 out of 10. So this one, the first time that I did it, it was probably like a 5 out of 10, like a 5 or 6 out of 10. So it was pretty painful, but it was also like quick, kind of. So it was when you're getting it done, it hurts, but afterwards it really just feels like you bit your tongue really hard and it's kind of just like healing over. The second time I got it done, because there were scar tissues like inside my tongue where the old piercing was, it was bound to be more painful anyway, because piercings in like scar tissue spots are going to be more painful. So the second time I got it done, especially because the process was also longer with the second one, I guess because she was being more tedious with it, it was probably like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. And now about the after part of it. Obviously the piercer told me that I can't drink alcohol, smoke, kiss anyone really, or have any oral sex. I don't smoke, so that really wasn't a problem for me. I drink wine once in a while with dinner with my parents, so it really isn't a problem for me to avoid alcohol or smoking. For other people, it may be a little bit more difficult if you're like a regular smoker or a regular drinker. The kissing part, I do have a boyfriend, so what I try to do is not to like kiss him. I try to like just peck on the lips, and that's really fine. Eating is a little bit difficult. For the first like 2 or 3 days, I tried to completely stay towards like really soft foods. The price on this piercing, I won't really say how much it was at my place, because one, is kind of disrespectful to, you know, the piercer, because if they're expecting to make a certain amount of money every time that they have a piercing, it's kind of unfair to go to them and say, well, this place, you know, charge this much. So I'm not going to say how much, but each place varies. Usually it's between like $30 and like $65. Would I recommend this piercing? Yes, I would definitely recommend this piercing. I love it to death. I'm really happy with it. Because, you know, they're called snake eyes, I like to make the joke that I have a little snake in my mouth and that he's sleeping sometimes, and then when he wants to come out, he comes out. Quick side note, thank you everyone who subscribed to my channel recently. I appreciate all of you. I'm trying to get as many videos as I can out, but with my busy schedule, I'm definitely, you know, on kind of a deadline with everything. I'm in school, I do theater, I'm starting to do classes to get my driver's license, it's really just, it's overwhelming, and I'm trying my best to try to keep you guys happy and try to get a little bit of, you know, a community on this channel, and just trying to make people as happy as I can and trying to help people as much as I can with my experiences. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment any video ideas that you guys want, or just any comment in general. Thank you guys so much for watching.